Have you ever looked around your home and thought, why does it still feel cluttered? Even after all the organizing I've done. You've bought the bins labeled, the drawers folded, every towel just right. Maybe you've spent entire weekends moving things around only to feel just as overwhelmed when it's all done. The truth is, organizing is not the same as decluttering. And that's the trap many of us fall into, especially after 60. But here's the good news, there's a better way. In this video, I'll share 7 decluttering hacks made specifically for older women, gentle, realistic steps that actually work with the energy and emotions you have right now. These strategies will help you let go of what no longer serves you and create a home that finally feels light, open, and peaceful again. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time of day is it right now. Leave a comment below and let me know. Even if it's just a quiet moment in your day, I truly appreciate you sharing it with me. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Strategy 1, 10-minute daily ritual. In many American homes, especially for older adults, clutter doesn't just take up space, it quietly takes up peace of mind. You walk into a room and feel something's off, but you can't always name it. It might be the overflowing drawer in the kitchen, or the pile of magazines by the recliner, or that old sewing machine you haven't touched in years. It's not that you're messy or lazy, it's just that stuff adds up over time. And here in the US, where shopping is part of daily life, and storage solutions are sold on every corner, from Target to the Container Store, it's easy to confuse organizing with decluttering. But the truth is, organizing is often just moving things from one spot to another, while the emotional weight of those things stays right where it is. That's why so many older Americans say, I spent all day cleaning, but I still feel overwhelmed. Let me share something that has helped hundreds of older women across the country, from small towns in Iowa to apartments in downtown Chicago. It's called the 10-minute elimination ritual. And yes, I call it a ritual because it's not a chore. It's an act of clarity, of respect, and of emotional renewal. Here's how it works. Once a day, just set a timer for 10 minutes. Not an hour, not a whole afternoon, just 10 simple minutes. Pick one small area, a single drawer, one shelf in the linen closet, or even just the top of your nightstand. And during that time, you're not folding, stacking, or labeling. You're doing something more powerful. You're making decisions. There are only 2 questions you need to ask yourself as you go. Have I used this in the last year? And does this still serve the person I am today, not the person I used to be? Those 2 questions cut through the noise. They help you separate what you're holding on to out of habit and what you're holding on to out of purpose. And let's be honest, at this stage of life, purpose matters more than ever. You've earned the right to live in a space that supports the woman you are now, not the girl you were 30 years ago. Now, the science behind this is fascinating. When we make small, low-pressure decisions each day, it gently retrains our brain to tolerate letting go. Neurologists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt to change with new habits. And psychologists have found that even short, consistent actions like this create a feeling of agency, that deep internal sense that you are in control. And that's what many older adults in America are silently craving, not a cleaner house, but a calmer heart. Because clutter isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's the silent reminder of what we haven't finished, who we used to be, what we might lose, or what we're afraid to face. And that's why a 10-minute ritual can feel more healing than a full weekend of deep cleaning. I once heard a woman from Portland say, "That drawer was filled with stuff I hadn't looked at in years, but it was filled with versions of me I hadn't let go of yet." That's powerful. And when you do this consistently, even for just a week or 2, something shifts. You stop seeing your home as a place full of unfinished business and start seeing it as a place for possibility. You begin to trust your instincts again. You realize that peace doesn't come from organizing what drains you. It comes from releasing what no longer serves you. So tomorrow morning, before the coffee pot finishes brewing, try it. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Pick one spot. Ask your 2 questions. And don't worry if it feels emotional, that means it matters. Because in the end, decluttering isn't about the things, it's about you. And you, just as you are today, deserve a home that feels like peace. Strategy 2, the memory box. In many American homes, especially for older adults, memories live not just in our hearts, but in the objects we keep around us. A faded letter in a nightstand drawer, your late husband's jacket still hanging by the front door, boxes of your children's old drawings tucked into the attic, untouched for decades. These aren't just things, they're pieces of people, moments, and lives we've loved deeply. That's why for many older women across the United States, letting go of sentimental items is the hardest part of decluttering. It's not about space, it's about meaning. Because when we hold something in our hands that belongs to someone we love, or that reminds us of a different version of ourselves, it feels sacred. And so we keep it not because we use it, but because we're afraid of what it might mean to let it go. But here's something important I want to offer you, not as advice, but as comfort. Letting go of the item does not mean letting go of the memory. And keeping everything doesn't necessarily preserve the past, it can sometimes bury the present. That's why more and more older adults in the US are embracing something called the legacy memory box. It's not a storage container. It's not another plastic bin in the garage. It's a sacred space, a curated, intentional collection of the pieces that truly matter. Not everything, just the best things. You might create one box for your marriage, another for your children and grandchildren, maybe one for your career, your parents, or your family's journey to America. You choose what speaks to your soul, what reflects the moments that shaped you. Instead of trying to keep every item, you keep the story. And here's a beautiful thing that happens. As you go through those old items, you begin to remember more vividly, not just what happened, but how you felt. And instead of hiding those moments in closets, you bring them to life with notes, with photos, with quiet reflection. A quilt your mother made doesn't have to sit in a box unloved. You can take a photo of it, write a memory, and pass it on or pass it along. Now, from a psychological standpoint, this is powerful. Studies from institutions like the Mayo Clinic and Stanford have shown that when we choose what to keep with intention, it reduces decision fatigue and emotional stress. It gives our brain a sense of closure, not loss, and it allows us to stay connected to our past without being emotionally buried by it. This also makes a difference for your family, because here in America, we don't often talk about what happens to our belongings when we're gone until someone is left to sort through it all. And that task, especially for adult children, can feel overwhelming, confusing, and even painful. When you create a legacy memory box, you're not only honoring your life story, you're giving a priceless gift to the next generation, a clear map of what mattered most to you. I once met a woman from Asheville, North Carolina, who told me that sorting her mother's belongings was harder than her funeral. Not because she didn't love her mother, but because no one had ever explained what mattered, what was meaningful, and what was just there. It left her with guilt and guessing. You don't have to leave that kind of weight behind. So the next time you open a drawer filled with old keepsakes, I invite you to pause. Ask yourself, which of these carry my story? Which ones can be released with love and gratitude, and maybe a photo to remember them by? And then begin your own legacy box. Not because you're saying goodbye to your past, but because you're making room for peace today. You're turning clutter into clarity. You're telling your story on your own terms. And in doing so, you're reminding yourself and your loved ones that what truly matters has never been the stuff. It's always been the love. Strategy 3, reverse shopping. In America today, especially among older adults, the pressure to stay organized often turns into a quiet form of emotional clutter. You walk into a big box store like Walmart or stroll through the aisles at Target, and everywhere you look, there are bins, labels, organizers, and stackable drawers promising you peace. And for many older women, especially those living alone or adjusting to life after retirement, it's easy to believe the message. If I just buy the right container, everything will finally feel in order. But here's the hard truth most of the time, that new purchase isn't the solution. It's a distraction. You're not fixing the clutter, you're just hiding it in prettier boxes. And deep down, you probably know that already. Because after you bring home the new basket or shelf divider, the mess eventually returns. The emotional weight is still there. This is where a mindset shift can be life-changing, something I call reverse shopping. It's a simple idea, but it changes everything. Instead of heading to the store to contain your clutter, you pause, take a deep breath, and ask, what can I let go of today so I no longer feel the need to buy something? The rule is simple for every time you want to buy something new to help you organize. You remove 10 items from your home first. They can be small, a handful of old cables, expired pantry, items, shoes you haven't worn in years. Or they can be heavier clothes from another life chapter, dusty books unopened, gifts you never really wanted. Why 10? Because the number forces you to make real decisions, not just tidy around the edges. And here's the beauty of it. After removing those 10 items, most people no longer feel the urge to shop. Because what you were craving wasn't really a storage bin, it was relief. And you gave that to yourself by letting go, not by adding more. This practice doesn't just clear space, it shifts your relationship with things. In America, where consumer culture runs deep, where QVC plays in the background, and Amazon delivers to your porch in hours, we are taught that shopping soothes stress. But at this stage of life, what many older adults need most isn't more stuff. It's space. Space to breathe. Space to move safely around the home. Space to welcome peace instead of pressure. And when you reverse shop, you also take back control over your spending. You save money, avoid impulse purchases, and stop the cycle of disappointment that comes when that new item doesn't fix how you feel. You begin to see clearly, clutter isn't solved by better containers. It's solved by fewer things. One woman I spoke with in Mesa, Arizona told me, "The moment I started reverse shopping, I felt like I could finally see my home again. And more than that, she saw herself more clearly too." So next time you find yourself reaching for that shiny new storage bin, pause, look around your space. Ask, what can I release instead? And give yourself the gift that no purchase can provide: freedom. Strategy 4. Ask, does it energize or drain me? In many American households, especially for older adults, the things we keep often say more about our emotions than our needs. You walk into a room and everything looks fine, but something inside feels heavy. You pass by the old quilt your sister made, the unfinished puzzle table in the den, or the shelf filled with dusty craft supplies from years ago. They seem harmless, even comforting at first. But slowly, without noticing, they begin to drain your energy in ways you never expected. That's because every object in your home carries a kind of emotional charge. It either supports your peace or it quietly steals from it. Psychologists call this emotional association, and it's especially common in later life when our homes become archives of who we've been. But here's the important part: you're allowed to ask how an item makes you feel. Not whether it's still useful or valuable, but simply, does this energize me or does it quietly wear me down? Try walking through your home slowly, one room at a time, with that question in mind. There's no need to rush, no pressure to make big decisions. Just observe what your body and heart feel when you see each object. Not what it costs, not who gave it to you, just the feeling it brings right now. A woman I met in Columbus, Ohio, shared that she had a box of half-finished knitting projects in her living room. Every time she passed it, she felt a twinge of guilt, a reminder of something she hadn't finished. That box didn't bring joy. It brought shame, softly and silently, day after day. She let it go, not because knitting was wrong, but because it no longer matched who she was today. And then there's the opposite. A man in coastal Maine told me about the rocking chair by his front window. It wasn't expensive or particularly stylish, but when he sat there in the morning sun sipping coffee and watching birds, he felt calm, connected, grounded. That chair in all its simplicity lifted his spirit every single day. This is the heart of the strategy. Keep what gives you light. Release what adds weight. It doesn't have to be logical. It just has to be true for you. And here's where science meets soul. Studies in environmental psychology show that when we're surrounded by things that bring joy or calm, it directly lowers cortisol, our body's stress hormone. It improves sleep, digestion, memory, and even heart health. Because emotional clutter is physical clutter's silent twin, it lingers and it takes a toll. In American culture, especially among older generations, we're often taught to be grateful, to not waste, or to hold on to things just in case. But what if letting go isn't wasteful? What if it's actually wise? What if your home could reflect the life you're living now, not the one you lived 30 years ago? So take a breath, look around, and ask the question that matters most. Does this lift me up, or does it slowly wear me down? Your answer doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be honest. And with each honest choice, your home becomes less of a storage unit and more of a sanctuary. Strategy 5. Picture yourself, or your daughter, in the future. In the quiet moments of life, especially later in life here in America, many older adults begin asking deep, tender questions. Where will I be living 5 or 10 years from now? Will I still be able to care for this big house with its stairs, closets, and corners? Will I have the same energy, the same needs, the same daily rhythm I have now? Or will I want something simpler, more peaceful, more manageable, more aligned with the person I'm becoming? These are not easy questions, but they are honest ones, and they can become a powerful guide as you begin to look around your home and consider what to keep and what to release. Because the truth is, many older Americans are living in houses filled not just with stuff, but with decades of stories, identities, and responsibilities. And it's easy to avoid those decisions because they feel so heavy. But here's something that might help. Try picturing your future self kindly, clearly, and without fear. Visualize where you'd like to be, not just physically, but emotionally. Do you want freedom to travel, to spend time with grandkids without worrying about chores? To wake up each day in a home that feels calm and uncluttered? Once you've pictured that life, ask yourself a quiet question. Will everything in this house help support that future, or make it harder to reach and then take it one step further? Picture your daughter, your niece, or your granddaughter someday walking into your home. Maybe it's years from now. Maybe it's sooner than expected. She's standing there looking around, trying to decide what to keep and what to donate. What would you want her to feel? Do you want her to be overwhelmed with boxes, unsure of what mattered and what didn't? Do you want her to carry the burden of guessing or the peace of knowing? This isn't a sad thought. It's a loving one. Because one of the most compassionate things we can do is make those choices ourselves while we still have the strength, clarity, and love to do it. And here's something practical you can begin today. Pick up a sentimental item, a photo album, a vase, a book, a quilt, and ask yourself, if this matters to me, does my family know why? If not, write it down. Write a small note or label that tells the story. Not just what the item is, but why it mattered to you, why you kept it, why it's a piece of your legacy. And if it doesn't carry meaning anymore, or if it belongs to a past version of yourself you've already said goodbye to, you are allowed to release it. With love, with gratitude, and without guilt. There's even scientific support for this process. Gerontologists, doctors who study aging, say that active life review helps reduce anxiety, improve memory, and increase emotional well-being in older adults. It's not about getting rid of things. It's about reflecting on your life with clarity and shaping the story you leave behind. Here in America, many seniors feel an invisible pressure to hold on to everything just in case. But what if just in case never comes? And what if your greatest gift isn't what you saved, but what you shared? So take a breath. Look around, not with fear, but with love. And ask, if my daughter had to make this decision for me, would I want her to, or can I make it now with grace? Because this isn't just about decluttering. It's about writing the final chapters of your story with care, clarity, and compassion, and leaving behind not a house full of objects, but a home full of meaning. Strategy 6 and 7-2 in 1-out rule and 30-day challenge zone. In many homes across America, especially for older adults, the hardest part of decluttering isn't deciding what to let go, it's what to keep. You stand in front of a shelf, a drawer, or a box in the garage and think, maybe I'll need this again someday, or worse, what if I regret getting rid of it? These aren't just practical questions, they're deeply emotional ones, because every object feels like a choice, and too many choices can feel like a burden. That's why 2 small strategies used together have helped countless older Americans not only clear their homes, but keep them clear. The first one is called the 2-for-1 rule, and it's simple enough to remember, but powerful enough to change habits for good. Every time you bring something new into your home, a pair of shoes, a holiday gift, even a cookbook, you agree to let go of 2 existing items, not 1. 2. Why? Because this rule gently reverses the accumulation that happens so easily in American households. We live in a culture of more deals, more options, more stuff delivered to our front porch in 2 days or less. But more things don't always mean more happiness. In fact, research shows that excessive clutter can increase cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, and lead to poor sleep, irritability, and even cognitive decline. The 2-for-1 rule doesn't stop you from enjoying new things. It just makes you a more intentional curator of your space. It turns every purchase into a thoughtful exchange, not just an impulse. You begin to ask yourself, do I really want this if it means saying goodbye to 2 others? And that question alone can prevent clutter before it ever enters your home. Now let's talk about the second strategy, one that works beautifully alongside the first. It's called the 30-day staging area. This is for the moments when you pick something up and just don't know what to do with it. Maybe it's a birthday card from last year, a jacket you used to love, or a stack of recipes you haven't touched since 1998. You don't want to throw it away, but you're not sure you want to keep it either. That's where the staging area comes in. Choose a shelf in your laundry room, a bin in the garage, or even a labeled box in the hall closet. Whenever you come across something you're undecided about, place it there. Then write the date on a sticky note and put it on the item. If you don't think about it, look for it or use it within 30 days it goes. No guilt, no second guessing. This strategy works because it removes emotional pressure from the moment of decision. It gives your brain time to detach and observe how important something really is. And over time, it helps build confidence in your choices. You begin to realize how often the things we cling to are things we don't actually need. Both of these strategies, the 2-for-1 rule and the 30-day staging area, are gentle, respectful tools. They don't rush you. They don't force dramatic change. Instead, they offer structure in a season of life when decision fatigue is real and energy is precious. I once spoke to a woman from Santa Fe who said these 2 habits helped me stop treating my home like a storage unit and start treating it like a sanctuary. And that's exactly the point. Because at this stage in life, your home should support you, not overwhelm you. It should reflect your present, not just your past. And with a few simple shifts, you can create a space that feels lighter, kinder, and truly your own. As we wrap up today, I hope this video has reminded you that decluttering isn't about perfection. It's about creating space for peace, clarity, in the life you're living right now. Even one small decision made with love can bring a powerful sense of freedom. These tips are shared for general awareness. If you're facing any health challenges, be sure to check with your doctor before trying anything new. Every body, every home, and every season of life is different, and your healthcare provider knows your unique story best. If something in this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. What thought or feeling are you walking away with today? Or if you'd like to keep it simple, just comment the word HOPE down below. That alone can light up someone else's day. If this felt helpful or comforting, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss new videos, and feel free to share this with a friend or loved one who might need it too. And until next time, may your home feel a little lighter, your heart a little calmer, and your days filled with more of what truly matters. Take care and be well.